Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Utter Football with Elia and myself. Elia, is that you over there, mate?
Hey, man.
Are you listening to me?
I don't think my mic's on.
I'm going to find out because I'm probably pushing the wrong button, mate. What about that one? Is that better?
No.
How about
Working.
How about that one? There we go,
that's
mate.
the one.
I
Yeah.
stuffed up, mate. Yet again, shock horror. No shock there, is there, mate?
Yeah, no, it's working now.
Mate,
All good.
The World Cup. The
Yeah.
World Cup's here, mate. What can you say? It's amazing. Every 4 years we go on a bit of a World Cup purge. But before we get to that today, we're obviously going to play a song which you've suggested we play, and I don't know, there might be a few mixed reactions to it out there.
Oh, it's a good track.
It is a
It's
good
good
track.
English band.
Not
The English need a bit of, I don't know, a bit of hype or whatever. They've got a big game on, I think it's tomorrow morning, isn't it?
Who are they playing tomorrow?
Tunisia.
Tunisia?
You know what? The last time, I think one of the few times they've won their opening World Cup game in the last 20 years was against Tunisia 2-0 in 1998.
Mate, what you mean to say? One of the
Alan
only
Shearer
games,
scored.
one of the only games they've won since 1966 was against Tunisia. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it is. That's what I am saying. You know, they what did they do? What have they done? I think it's the last 5 World Cups they've only won. It's like one game or something, or 2 games, and they typically. I mean, a lot of teams, a lot of big teams don't start World Cups that well, but I mean, that's the thing. Are England still a big team in the World Cup? I mean, they have won one, so
They're not.
yeah.
They're not.
They're not, are they?
I think if you look at the
Typically, they disappoint.
well, I think they've got the best league in the world. There's no doubting that, is there? With the Premier League, and they bring the best players from around the world to play at the home of football, which is what I believe is England. But I tell you what, mate, they don't. I still think that the game as a whole in the UK lacks because they don't have that. Well, it's a toughie, isn't it? But they don't have that. What's the word I'm looking for here, mate? Help me out. They don't have the an amalgam. No, they don't. They don't have an. They need to have a certain amount of players playing for each club in the UK. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, I think there's definitely something to that, and maybe that's one of the reasons why Serie A suffered in the 90s a bit, and the Italian game wasn't as strong, is that they had that amazing league there and they had all those foreigners there, and they did bring in that rule there, I think. But I mean, either way, the English is just one of those teams that gets hyped up to no end and then typically disappoint. But this World Cup maybe is the first in a long time where they haven't been reliant on big star names, really. I mean, they've got stars in there for sure, but I mean, are they really? You're not looking at their team and going, oh, they can't go without that guy, and it's like maybe this time that's better for them. I mean,
I think so. Yeah, I think so. There's not as much expectation on their shoulders, the players.
Yeah.
Because we'll look at the players, and besides Ronaldo, who's obviously bagged a nice little hat trick to start off and get the punters happy with the goal scoring stats, and regarding supporting him. I don't think there are a lot of players from the UK who are going to stand out and say, look, watch me. Harry Kane.
No, all the Ronaldo lovers got a big boost the other day. The classic sort of Ronaldo versus Messi debate that's gone on for years now. And they're all like, well, Ronaldo got a hat-trick and Messi missed a penalty. And it's like, and then they're like, well, Ronaldo's definitely better. And it's like, yeah, I've never rated Messi.
Have you been coughing that, mate? Have you been hearing that from
mate, everyone, I've sort of been reading the Guardian football page for 10 years or so, and there's comments on there, and there's just this constant argument going on with this faction who love Ronaldo and faction who love Messi. And the thing about Messi taking penalties is that he's never been that convincing with penalties. He's missed a few for Barcelona, he's missed a few for Argentina.
That's right.
I don't even know why they had him on the ball, actually. I mean, but then again, he's the guy that the other players look to and they're like, well, that's Messi, And, it was a shit penalty. I mean, sorry, goodness gracious.
That's right, mate. But
it was a bad penalty, wasn't it? It was a bad penalty.
It was
poor.
weak. It was underhit. But to be fair, and I'll tell you, I'll go back along, and this is a very similar situation, so you'll be able to identify with this. I remember hearing a story about Winton Rufer, a very young Winton Rufer who went and played at the Hilton Petone tournament, pre-season tournament out in Lower Hutt.
Yeah.
And so obviously very similar standard to the World Cup. And they went to penalties, and Winton, as an 18-year-old, he might have been about 16 to be fair, mate, 17.
Yeah, probably.
He stood up and went to take a penalty and missed it, scuffed it, and looked like an absolute idiot. But people said at least he had the the guts to go and do it. And,
well, Messi's he's grabbing the ball and he's doing it. I mean, and it looked like he was going to try and send the keeper the wrong way, and the keeper read it and saved it.
Yeah, so. Good save. I thought it was good save. To be fair,
definitely.
Nice height though for the keeper to make a save.
Yeah.
But to be fair, mate, I thought they were well worth it. I thought Argentina, Argentina has been pretty good, but the big story for me is Iceland. They beat England. What was that European Cup, wasn't it? Was it European Cup or European qualifiers where Iceland beat the English?
Yeah. The Euro.
Yeah,
they beat the English. What was it, 2-1, I think?
That's right, or 1-0. Well, either
maybe
way.
It was 1-0. Either way, they won. I'm not a big fan of Iceland myself. I think they're a pack of bloody giant uncos.
And by the way, people, we have spoken off the air and we have had a chat.
Besides Sigurdsson's class. So he's a class player.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, goodness gracious.
Elia's talking crap. He's talking crap. Good on you, Iceland, mate. They've got a population.
I can't stand Iceland.
Give me a minute.
They're a blight on the World Cup.
They've got a population of 350,000 people.
They do all right.
That's all they've got.
They do all right.
We're going to be talking about the World Cup later on. We're going to be talking about
Not a big fan myself.
NZ football and the women's team and the debacle that's going on there, because we're actually going to have Michael Burgess from the Herald.
Oh yeah, good.
He's hopefully he phones in about 10 minutes, and we'll have a chat to him and hear his
He's
views.
written a recent article about the goings on.
And
He's spoken to some people from New Zealand women's football.
Elliot, there's been a lot of response to. And we'll cover that when we speak, but there's been a lot of feedback on the unrest.
I heard on national radio the other morning Ricky Herbert on there being interviewed, and he was just going, they were asking him some pretty, difficult questions, but he was pretty diplomatic about it.
What sort of questions were they asking?
Well, they were saying, what's the deal with this guy being in charge of technical director of New Zealand football?
Is this Harif?
That's his name. But I mean, and Herbert was just saying, we need to, as Kiwis, we believe in our ability to try and do things and have a crack, and maybe that's not where we are at the moment with New Zealand football, but words to that effect anyway.
Well, it's disappointing, mate, when your coach who's come from overseas, he's been employed to do a job here and get the best out of what you've got. And I've always believed, and I know because I've watched them, very eagerly and excited, and I've seen the development in the women's game here in New Zealand, mate, and as you have yourself, and it's way above what the men have achieved, isn't it? And they're punching above.
They've
their weight.
accelerated. Yeah, the everything's improved. Like the coaching, the game, the players, the player development. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to be said for what's happening with the men's game as well. And there have been some really good improvements made over the years, but I mean, you have to say, if you look at them side by side, you'd have to say, well, the women's game has improved significantly more, and maybe that was because the coaching systems and so on weren't in place as well as they were in the past. But this whole Haraf thing is it's just people aren't happy about it, and they're saying, like, why is this guy? Someone was saying, maybe something was lost in translation, maybe, but no, he came out and he said we can't compete with Japan, and as we were saying last week, that's not how we think as Kiwis. We don't think we can't compete.
No,
Kiwis, that's not what we do, mate. I mean, the Kiwis go out and win the Rugby World Cup and win the America's Cup, and conquer Everest,
Yeah,
that's
right.
That's the Kiwi mentality. I'll give it a crack and see how I go. Not set up defensively and try and lose by a goal.
Well, here's one for you, mate. Here's one for you. Charlie Dempsey walking along the, and we had Alan Stroud on here a couple of weeks, didn't we, the goalkeeper? And when he played, remember a couple of weeks ago we had Schofield.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he played against the England team when they came out here, and this is I think it was at Newtown Park, and it was blowing a gale and.
Yeah, Athletic Park.
Athletic Park. That's it.
The old Athletic Park.
And I said to him, you should have done a drop kick from your own goal line, or your own goal box to the other end. You could have scored, mate. And he goes, well, he did think about it. But we had a good giggle about it. And I said to him, I said, what is it? what was the thoughts before going into that England game? And he said, well, Charlie Dempsey walked along the lineup. All the dignitaries came along and he shook each one's hand. He sort of put one hand under and one hand over, and as he shook the hand and said, "Oh, keep the score down. Good luck. Keep the score down. Good luck. Keep the score down. Good luck. Keep the score down. Good luck." And that's it's not a great motivator, is it, mate?
No.
But I mean, you don't really see as well. You do every now and again, but you don't see as many of the blowouts as what you used to do back in the day, do you?
Well, this is the thing about this World Cup. I mean, people, all these people. I mean, there
the Russians. Yeah,
a lot of people would. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the one game. But even then, Saudi Arabia, you'd have to say they were a bit unlucky, really. I mean, they didn't play that badly, did they? But it seemed like the Russians, half the shots they hit went in the goal.
Well, remember speaking about 20 minutes ago, and we were talking about how the expectation on the Russians. Russia's a good team, mate. They've got some good players. The expectations are huge for them to achieve.
Yeah.
They've been at home in camp for some time now. The season's finished for ages ago for these players, probably over 5-6 weeks ago. So they've had a good time together. And I didn't think Saudi Arabia were that bad, mate.
No, they played all right, I thought. And then early on, the Saudis were actually threatening the Russian goal. And you're like, man, there's a game on here. And then all of a sudden, bang, 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 the Russians are suddenly a few goals up and the Saudis are chasing the game. And you know what happens when a team's... I mean, you look at Germany this morning when they were chasing the game against Mexico and they were wide open. And the Mexicans should have probably got a couple more easy.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Yep. I thought they were fantastic, mate. The Mexicans
they played really well. Yeah, they did well. And the Germans, what was going on there? Where's Sane?
Well, that's what we talked about before we came on here, and we talked about it last week off air as well, saying they should have put him in the squad.
Well, I mean, Joachim Low, he's won the World Cup, and he's done a great job with Germany, and you got to say, well, he probably knows a bit more about coaching Germany than I do, but you've got to ask the question, how good would it have been for them today to be able to bring Sane off the bench with his pace and his he's just got natural ability to make things happen, and he's one of those players, and arguably a guy like Royce is someone like that as well. But is Royce still on the same level that he was a few years ago? Maybe not. Maybe Sane is the guy now, but Sane's not there, is he? And then you got to say, I mean, it's a lot of it's a benefit of hindsight and blah 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 blah. But I mean,
Elliot,
they might come right and win the World Cup still. You never know.
Oh well, what was it? Spain won the World Cup after losing the first game.
Well, a lot of teams, I think, over the years have either lost or drawn their first game, and then they've gone on to make the final or win, or at least make the semis.
It's early days.
Yeah,
good motivator.
Yeah.
Now you suggested a song to play tonight, "The Look" by Metronomy?
Yeah, Metronomy.
Obviously, this is not my call, people, so bear with me if it's a shocker.
This is a good song. It's
let's play it.
It's an English band, going out to the England fans out there.
Oh, no, there's a few of them. And, let's hope they're still in good voice tomorrow night after tomorrow, mate. But we'll play the song, and hopefully after that we'll have Michael Burgess. Here we go.
You'll get down. You're never running from this town. And I think you said you'll never get anything better than this. 'Cause you're going round in circles, and everyone knows your trouble. 'Cause you're written in a paper, and now you're giving me the look. But just remember how we shook, and all the things we took.
Ilya, good sounds, mate. Good sounds. Hey, we're just going to try. We're trying to get Michael here. I'm just going to see if he's coming to. Michael, are you there, mate? First, talk to call. Hey, hello. Are you there? Hello, Michael. Hello, Michael. Are you there, mate?
Your phone's... What's that?
I'm just wondering why it's not going, mate. So, Michael, we'll have to call that off, mate, and make arrangements for next week, unfortunately. Cheers, matey. You're not there, are you? Ilya, can you hear me there, mate?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know. Why is that...
I don't know what's happening with the phones tonight, mate. We had them working out another day, didn't we? And they were fine, but for some reasons, the phones aren't picking up the call coming through, which will... that's okay. We'll just get Mike to sort out tomorrow when he comes in the office. Moving along, my friend. Hey, not a bad sound, that, eh?
Yeah, it is a good track. I'm getting a bit of interference off these headphones, I think. I might have to change the headphones I've got.
Yeah, cool, mate. There's another set over there. And then we'll just move along. One thing I was going to talk to you about, we were going to talk to Mike about, was the... which is a shame, actually, because I really wanted to chat to him about it, was the...
Which we'll try and call him back?
Nah, we'll be fine, mate. We'll just move along. But nice guy, Michael Burgess, and he's written a couple of articles recently about the... well, not at the state, but just what's going on at NZ football with the women's team, and they've employed this new guy who seems to be ruffling the feathers, shall I say, of a few people there. What's your take on that, mate, with the women's team and people sort of retiring now and not wanting to be part of it because they're just not happy with what's going on?
Well, I think it's like the problem with any football organisation comes back to these days. It's the CEO, the organisers, and so on.
Yep.
And I've got to take a look at it and go, are we doing things right? A lot of people are disappointed, angry, not happy about things.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe they've got to take a look at what they're doing and try and sort things out. That's sort of the way I see it, anyway. I mean, to be honest, I don't know enough about the goings on with NZ football up in that executive level, and But yeah, it seems at the moment there's a lot of people who are a bit annoyed about what's happening, and they want things sorted out. So something has to happen, doesn't it? Something has to be done.
Mate, I can't believe I'm hearing these words coming out of your mouth. The man who's so keen to give an opinion is quite harsh at times. Mate, you've jumped on the bike and you've ridden away, mate, because I would have thought you were going to be harsh and said, look, to be honest with you, I don't know why they've employed these people for the jobs when there's good coaches in New Zealand. We don't have transparency here. We have people who are employed to do a job, aren't doing it, are scared to say, yeah, let's go and get stuck into it and do it. And they're writing their own obituary already before they've even had 2 or 3 games. And I to be honest with you, mate, I was disgusted with the way with what I heard from the coach the other day, Michael, are you there? No, he's not going, mate. I can't find him. Mike, you're not here, are you, mate? Still not there.
There's something you've got to click over there, man.
Where?
I don't know. How's that? Where's that ringing coming from?
It's here. I've got the right thing here, mate, but it's just not going. Talk to caller. Nah. But,
anyway. That's unfortunate.
That's all good. But
Be good to hear what he had to say.
No, he's a good lad, and he. But we spoke.
Can you call him on the cell phone and get
No, don't worry about it. We'll sort out, mate. But what, as I said, getting back to you and giving you a serve.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, man. The whole thing with NZ football, I've found
disappointing, mate. Tell us honestly what you're thinking, mate. Come on.
Well, I honestly think that there was a mistake made years ago when they parted company with Winton Roofer and sort of, turfed him out.
Yep.
And that was just ridiculous as far as I was concerned years and years ago. And who are these people anyway? What have they ever... Winton Roofer's done a lot, and he's given a lot back to the game in New Zealand, and he continues to. And why isn't a guy like that? Why doesn't he have something to do with what we're doing as an organisation of footballers? You got to get your best talent in there calling the shots, and someone like Roofer is obviously, well acquainted with the game and has done a lot in the game and is well respected. And they turfed him out years ago, didn't they? They got annoyed with him, and because they didn't. And I mean, he got annoyed with them as well because they wouldn't. He was trying to offer them some advice, and they didn't want to take it.
I think what it comes down to, mate, is it's that football is the world game, but in New Zealand it's a minority sport, and I think a lot of people who have they have their piece of the pie, they don't want to give it to anyone else, mate. And that's as simple as that, and they just want to refer to them as like, oh, he's a bit big, let's not involve him because then it will take something away from me. And Winton's a legend, mate. There's no doubting. There's Oceania Player of the Century. Come on, you can't get bigger than that.
Yeah.
And what he's done in the world football is just astronomical. And like he would have, as I said earlier, a couple of months ago, I think I said he would have played for Brazil if he was Brazilian. Yeah, that's how good he was. And. And I think it was Telly Santana or something. Telly Santana, isn't he? Is he the guitarist? Or was that who was that Brazilian coach?
I think his name was Telly Santana. Yeah, 82.
Yeah, that's coach. Right. And he said that if Winton was a Kiwi, he would have got.
What about the World Cup? Let's talk about the World Cup now.
So we moved on for the women's team. We'll just leave that alone.
Well, that needs to be sorted out, and everyone knows it. It's one of those things that they need to do something. This guy Haraf, the Austrian. Mate, his time should be up. I mean, what? Are we going to keep him in there with that mentality? I don't think he should stay there. It's like someone's got to act and make a decision. And there's probably, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a few decent coaches who used to coach the New Zealand team, women's team a few years ago who could step in.
Mate.
And they could step in and sort things out, or they know someone who could step in and get a new technical director and sort the situation out. Apparently, the guy, I did hear that there was some junior tournament last year or the year before, and he was telling players, he was just giving them negative advice. And I mean, this is second-hand information, but by a few accounts, it sounds like this guy isn't suited to what we want to do as a small football nation that's fighting regularly against larger powers. We want someone who's going to believe that we can do something,
Yeah.
I mean, because otherwise we never would have made that World Cup in 2010, South Africa, would we?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what New Zealand can achieve. Look at Tunisia, they're about to take on England. Look at Panama, they're about to take on Belgium. These little countries. Look at Switzerland did against Brazil. And they're not a big country. I mean, they got a little bit more population than us, but not much. And that's the thing. Little country can punch above their weight, and there's no reason New Zealand shouldn't.
Well, we're not a little country, mate. I mean, we've got mana, and we've got this belief, and that's which we rise, and we punch well above our weight, and that's one thing. And I think it comes down to our climate down here. It's pretty harsh in the winter, but it's lovely in the summer. We play outdoors all the time. What upsets me is when we've got, we have our New Zealand coaches going to England to teach rugby. Because we are the best coaches in the world. And we're the best players in the world.
Oh, they're going all over the world.
Yeah. But we have pretty much no one else, besides guy at Auckland City, but we have very few other than England, good coaches coming over here to play over here because there's no belief in it, mate, And let's see if that's going to work now. Is that working now? It's not working, is it? Hello?
You've got to get them to give you a refresh. You've just okay. My mic's gone.
Yeah, is it back on now, mate?
No, my mic's.
That's better. Right, yeah.
You've got to get them to give you a refresh course on how to use that bloody deck there, mate. You're making a mockery of yourself.
I am.
This is a disaster.
It probably won't change before next week, mate. Ex-footballer, not a techno man myself, mate. But let's get back to the World Cup, where it all belongs, mate. We're halfway through the show, and we haven't talked about the World Cup very little. Mate, I've got to ask you this question. First game of the World Cup, Russia 5, Saudi Arabia 0. Can Russia win the World Cup final at home?
No.
Are you sure?
Not good enough.
Ballsy call?
Saudi Arabia, they're not the best. They're not the best side around, and Russia got a bit of head of steam up, and they got a couple more goals, and Kirisev or whatever his name is, he scored that cracking outside of the foot volley, I can't. I mean, the Russians, They're half decent, but they're not going to win the World Cup, mate. No way.
Haven't Russia started the World Cup unbelievably professionally well?
As a tournament?
Yeah, good,
the tournament, it's been good.
And you always knew it was going to be in Russia like that. You know, they're always very particular.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, there was a bit
very
of...
good.
There were a few worries about, violence and all sorts of other things, but and then maybe the whole thing around the situation with the plane being shot down and the accusation that it was a Russian anti-aircraft crew, and the Ukraine situation and Russia and Syria and all that sort of background political warring Armageddon carry on that's going on. But
Yep.
But as far as football goes, yeah, pretty good tournament. But I've got a friend over there from Australia, and he's been posting regular updates on Facebook, and he's having a whale of a time. Yeah.
Australia's probably got the worst strip in the World Cup, hasn't it? The old green and gold. It's not very... green
I
and
don't know.
yellow.
That's a big call, man. There's a few bad
mate.
strips there.
The worst tracksuit I've seen is the Nigerian tracksuit.
I haven't seen it.
Have you not seen it?
No.
It's got this very ugly Barter Bullets white
Hey, man,
and black.
don't knock the Barter Bullets, bro. What are you doing? A classic.
Barter Bullets, $12.50 when I was about
Mate,
12
I had a
years
pair
old.
of Barter Bullets and Velcros, and they were just the best
No, you
shoes
never
out.
they never had Barter Bullet Velcros.
They
mate.
did.
When
They
was
had
this?
them. This is like probably 1989.
Oh yeah, this is 10 years after I was looking
I
at Barter
think you
Bullet.
could get them at Decca.
Did you?
Remember Decca?
Dicker, yeah. Classic.
Yeah, I worked at Decca briefly.
Barter Bullets.
Yeah.
Barter Bullets for class. I used to... Yeah, anyway, moving on.
No,
Each-
the Aussies I thought did all right against France, but and they put in a good shift and they were pretty well organised. And I was talking to a friend of mine, Matt Connell, and he works for, I can't remember who he works for now, Fox or
Yep.
SBS in Australia there.
yes.
And he he was saying, he was impressed with the way Van Marwijk sort of whipped the team into shape, because Postecoglou had them in a situation where maybe they were a bit open, and in a game like the France game, they might have got they might have got it tonked. But I watched that game and I was pretty impressed with the way the Aussies played. I mean, they did have a goal threat, and that's like some of these other games you've watched, you got to wonder, was there a goal threat? And I mean, there was to a degree, like with the Swiss versus Brazil. Like the Swiss did put pressure at times on the Brazilian goal, but when you look at the shot count, the Brazilians really should have won that. And you got to wonder, do they have the quality that they once had with the likes of Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Ronaldo, guys like that? Would Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and Ronaldinho have missed those chances today? And you got to say, probably not. But then, I don't know. It was.
What do you think of the keeper for Brazil, who plays for Roma?
I thought he should have got off his line and caught that corner from Shaqiri.
Yeah, I thought he should.
And
as
it shouldn't have been up to the defender who took that. Like, I don't know. Was it like they were calling it a push, but it didn't look like a push to me, mate. It looked like a tap on the back. I mean, I don't know. If you're a centre back, you shouldn't be getting pushed out of the way like that.
Would you have called for the video assistant referee to have a look at that or not? Or did they? 'Cause I don't think they did they?
No, they didn't.
He was quite happy to just go on with that.
Well, I mean, I suppose according to the laws of the game, the guy's using his hand. He's obviously pushed the guy, so according to the laws of the game, it should have been looked at, but it wasn't even looked at.
It wasn't even looked at.
But I mean, they have that team, they're right there, they're looking at everything, and they elected not to look at it. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like, there's a lot worse than that happens on corners, that's for sure, with the grappling and so on.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to wonder, was it just a really good ball from Shaqiri? He whipped it. I mean, he does take a good corner.
Yep.
And, I mean, he did whip it, and, the centre-back was caught out of position, and, it wasn't like it was a shove, was it?
No, I thought the keeper could have come in. It was only about 4 or 5 yards off. And people have asked me, could he have come and got it, collected it himself? And you say yes, but then, mate, I've also been in that position where when that ball's whipped in, you've got, a second to get off your line?
Yeah. And Shaqiri, he's a handy player, and he's a good on a dead ball. So.
And if you can't come, what do? You stay. Don't come and get caught halfway because you look like a bit of an idiot. So you don't do that. But, getting back to what you're saying, I think, that's okay. That's okay. Hey, mate, we're going to take a break for another song. And now this is another one of yours, and this guy used to be a bit of an animal, I believe.
Is this Fleetwood Mac?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah,
Tell me about this.
This is Oh Well. This is a classic from the earliest incarnation
Was Lindsay
of
in
Fleetwood
there
Mac.
then or not?
No. It was no Lindsay Buckingham or Stevie Nicks. It was well before then. And Peter Green, thought by many to be the greatest white blues guitarist ever. I mean, and a damn sight better than Eric Clapton by a lot of people's standards. Yeah, good tune.
Here we go.
About the shape I'm in, I can't sing, I ain't pretty, and my legs are thin. But don't ask me what I think of you, I might not give the answer that you want me to. Now when I talk to God, I know He'd understand. He said, stick by me and I'll be your guiding hand. But don't ask me what I think of you, I might not give the answer that you want me to.
Don't you love that? Good sounds, mate. Sounds a bit of a John Bonham from.
No, that was Mick Fleetwood on drums.
I know, but it sounds a bit like John Bonham from Led Zepp.
Yeah, well, it was sort of around that time, though, contemporaries. That was, I think, that song. They released that album in like '68, maybe. I think.
Yeah.
But that was the Boston Live version when they did a concert in the US. Man, I'm getting that weird interference again on this bloody headphones.
I'll turn this thing off, mate. Yeah, well, I'll just turn this off here.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
That's better now, eh?
Yeah.
Mate, why don't we just sit here for the next 4 days and just do nothing? Just, drink wine and beer and Coca-Cola and coffee. Not that I drink any of the three of them. And have fun. No, I'm just joking, mate. The World Cup is a month where everyone likes to switch off from everything else in the world that's going on and just enjoy.
Well, do you remember there's that? I remember there was a news story at the last World Cup, and there was a guy from Wellington, and he takes a month off for the World Cup every time it comes around from work.
Oh, mate,
and
I know plenty of people like that.
Isn't that great, though?
Oh, yeah.
That's the way to do it. You just veg out and you watch this crazy amount of football, and you just eat some good food and sleep in and
enjoy the football. It's life, mate. It's what it should
stay up to all hours watching crazy games that you'd never normally watch.
But it's funny because I was on the phone to a mate of mine in South Africa this morning, and he's following it and loving it, and he said he's taken 2 weeks off work. He's taking a week off now, and he's taking a week off at the end of the tournament.
Yeah.
And I said to him, good on you, mate. You know, it's like, well, he's a builder, so he can.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
said he wants to enjoy the World Cup, the intro to it, and then go back to work after he's been a bit disillusioned with it.
Yeah.
And then when the business side comes along, he'll jump back in bed with the
Watch the
best games.
semi-final and
Yeah.
the final. Yeah.
Mate, moving along, we're going to look at we looked at Group A, and that was Russia 5, Saudi Arabia 0, Egypt 0, Uruguay 1.
I watched that game. I thought that was a really good game, actually, the Uruguay-Egypt game, I thought.
Those Egyptians buzzed, don't they? They're great, mate.
Oh, they were good.
Yep,
But they
yep.
were missing Salah, and he was sitting on the bench.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And the funny thing was that there was one point when the camera was on Salah, and he's talking to someone next to him, and he gestured towards his leg, and it was though... it seemed like for what he was insinuating with the gesture was that his shoulder was fine, but he might have hurt his calf or something, and he couldn't go on, and they needed him, like,
Yeah, for sure.
because they were in that game,
Yep,
and
definitely.
if Salah could have gone on for half an hour, oh mate, that game would have got real.
Well, imagine the pick-me-up they would have got if he had come on. I mean, they lost 1-0, but imagine if...
They played well too, and I mean the Uruguayans.
Gosh, yes.
I mean, I was really impressed with the Uruguayans, the way they controlled that game when they had possession. They were effortless, like the way they passed the ball. It was, I mean, they're such good footballers, and I mean they're the first ever country to win the World Cup. You know, a lot of people forget that. And
they won it two in
they've
the
won
first
They've
four,
won
didn't they?
twice World
Yep.
Cup. Yeah.
They were in the back in the
And
30s, mate, 1930s.
Cavani and Suarez both had good opportunities, and I think the keeper made a really good save from Cavani. And
Okay.
And Godin, the centre back, he's absolute class. So he made this crazy run up through the field. He beat like 2 or 3 players, and then he played in their left striker or left midfielder, and the guy just took this massive heavy touch, and he grimaced as he walked back because he knew that he'd let Godin down. But yeah, the Uruguayans were good for their win there. I thought they deserved to. It was a good header, and it was a good goal, and you'd have to say the Egyptians played well, but they missed Salah, you know. And if they had him, could have been a different story. But I thought the Uruguayans looked good. I mean, they're definitely a team that could go a long way in the tournament. And and looking at those two games, I'd say I favour the Uruguayans to beat the Russians, even though the Russians did get 5 goals. I just thought the Saudi Arabian defence wilted under pressure, and big day for them. You know, obviously, you know, you're playing away from home. It's all the expectation, the height of expectation is with the home team. It's been a huge pick me up, and when they start getting a couple of goals, you may as well write it off, and that's what they did. You know, but they'll live to fight another day. They've got another 2 games. The Saudis and the Russians. Yeah, well, the other thing is also when you go two goals down, you're chasing the game, and you open up, and
there's
you
going to be
lose
more
it.
chances to lose more. I tell you what, though, Cavani and Suarez, you're not going to get 2 better strikers, out-and-out strikers than that, are you?
Well,
mate?
they're pretty good. Yeah,
They are quality, man. And
Suarez is. I think Suarez.
He's a beast, mate. He's a beast.
He's next level. He's like one of the best of the best, and he's a guy that Uruguay could look to in games when it comes down to the crunch matches, second round, quarterfinals, semi-finals. He's a guy who can pull something out of his hat.
Well, he plays off Cavani, doesn't he? And I mean, Cavani's a sort of more the man that they go to, but he's not a big lad. He's not small, but he's not huge. But stature, he is very big, but the interaction they have with their 2 wide midfield players, there's a lot of tiki-taki like the Spanish do. And they like to keep the ball on the deck so it's not knocked on the air. And it's interesting, isn't it? If you look at the size of remember when I said to you earlier about the Icelandics, how big they are. It's like the old English mentality of get the ball in the box and, you know, get on the end of it with the big centre forwards or big, you know, centre backs for defence, for attacking free kicks.
Yeah.
They don't really do that. The Uruguayans, they just play football, mate, and they've got an abundance of classy.
Yeah, well, I mean,
players.
and on the other side of that, if you look at what happened with Argentina and Iceland, is that maybe the Argentinians were sort of guilty of overplaying it a bit.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
And I mean, it's that thing with. I actually thought to myself at one stage of that game watching, and I thought, man, imagine if they dragged Messi, you know, and put someone else on. I mean. But they're never going to do that, But I mean, yeah,
Unless he drags
it's like
himself.
they had to do. Yeah, they just. It was funny with the. I mean, they brought Higuain on, but I mean, they didn't really change the way they brought Higuain on, but they didn't really change the way they were playing.
Yep.
And maybe that's maybe that's the drawback with what they're doing, is that they're too reliant on Messi, and it's like, and you could say the same. I mean, the Portuguese, are they too reliant on Ronaldo? Well, obviously, he got a hat-trick, and their defence was, substandard, really, if you're conceding 3 goals.
Is Messi as focused on the World Cup as what Ronaldo is, in your opinion?
Oh, I think they both would be.
Yeah,
I mean, they're both very ambitious people. Like, they've done so well. I mean, you can't... They've got that internal drive that's taken them to the top of the world. So
and neither has won the World Cup, have they? So
no. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's like, I think both of those sides are capable of it. I mean, looking at the results so far, but I mean, you have to look at the teams that haven't played yet. And you look, Belgium are coming up, and they're another team people are going to be looking at. If they can win convincingly over Panama, then.
I think Belgium could be very good, mate.
Up a lot more. Yeah.
I think they've got a team of, they've got a great team. They've got some really good players. I hope your mate Fellaini doesn't play, but he will, won't he, mate? You love him. What do you like about the guy, mate? He's a basketball player.
The big fella.
He's got the big afro. He should be playing slamming dunks each weekend, mate.
I tell you what,
Basketball Jones. Basketball Jones.
Ever since he scored, I think he scored the winner.
It's a Cheech and Chong movie, Elliot. What are you doing?
No. He scored the winner against United at Goodison Park a few years back, and it was a really good goal from the edge of the area. And I thought, damn, that guy can play well. And then bloody Moisey.
Was it a header from the edge of the box?
No, it was a shot. He's really good with his feet. Like, people underestimate the guy. He's a.
What have you been watching, mate? He's a basketball player. He doesn't kick the ball.
He does. He's an excellent player.
Okay, I'm over the top.
He's unfairly been. I think he's been unfairly blamed for lackluster United performances by a lot of their prawn sandwich brigade. The sort of plastic fans who come along and they don't really know what the hell they're talking about. They've blamed for
that's a big call, that, mate. Big call.
No. I think so. I mean, I think Fellaini's been he's been a quality player for United, and he's always stepped up and done the job when they've needed him. And now people are talking about him leaving the club, and they're happy about it. And it's like, they've got no idea, mate. He's a good player, and he's
Okay, tell me, who would you have in front of him then?
What, where?
At United, would you have a Rory Keane, wouldn't you, mate? Or who else would you have, a Matic or something like that? Or
no. I mean, there's a place for the guy. It's like a squad is a thing, and you have players, and you have a guy like Mourinho's used Fellaini, and you can see why, because he gives him another option. Like when a game's not working with all the quick, like Martial, Rashford,
cool.
These guys. He can bring on Fellaini and just lump it forward, and the guy's going to hit it down or chest it down, and someone's going to get a shot off. And that's arguably what France did the other day when they couldn't break the Australians down. They brought on Giroud, and it gave them that focal point. And they ended up winning the game, and it was Pogba who sort of drove it in and caused that goal to happen. But
what do you think of Pogba?
I thought Pogba played well. He was a bit peripheral for long stretches of that game, but when it came to the crunch, he made that goal happen. He played that 1-2, he ran into the area, and he forced that defender into the area, and he did well. And I was really impressed with Kante in that game, and I thought he was amazing.
Yeah,
he's a brilliant midfielder, and he's quality, mate. He was just a cut above the Australians.
Yeah, he was.
Australians tried to put things together. They tried, and they did well. I thought Aaron Moy was excellent. He's an excellent player. That guy, Moy.
What's the guy? What about the striker from Celtic? Was it Rogic or something? Is it or Dom? Oh.
Nah,
average.
Rogic was. He's a good player, but he wasn't in that game. And when he got dragged, it was too late. They should have dragged him earlier. I don't think he was up to that game. I mean, he didn't figure.
Yeah.
But Moy was the guy. He's the best Australian player in my opinion. Huddersfield would be lucky to hold on to him next season after this World Cup, especially after that game. I thought he was the one thing that looked good for the Australians. I thought really good.
I thought also no. And wait a minute, mate. Wait a minute.
Juric when he came on was good as well.
You don't talk anything about keepers. I thought Matt Ryan was very good as well.
Ryan's he's quality, mate.
And he's not the biggest of keepers. He's probably about my size, so he's about 5 foot wide.
Very assured keeper, and he even did well to try and get anywhere near that.
I thought he's been good.
There was that goal that they scored, the winner, that spun off Bear Hedges' boot.
Oh, mate.
He was unlucky there. He almost got to it, and then he caught the rebound. And at the last World Cup, they might not have even been awarded that goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't have the goal line tick.
Well, we're going to play a song now, my friend. And this is for the team, for me, that's been my highlight of the tournament. So we're going to play the song and then we'll have a chat about them. This is about Iceland.
Oh, good God. You're kidding me, mate.
Love it.
It's oh so quiet. Shh, shh. It's oh so still. Shh, shh. You're all alone. Shh, shh. And so peaceful until you fall in love. Sing from the sky up above. Sing from is caving in. Wow, wow. You never been so nuts about a guy you wanna love. You wanna cry, you cross your heart and hope to die till it's over. And then it's nice and quiet. Shh, shh. But soon again, shh, shh. Starts another big riot. You blow a fuse. Sing boom, the devil cuts loose. Sing boom, so what's the use? Wow, wow, of falling in love. It's oh so quiet. It's oh so still. You're all alone. And so peaceful until you ring that bell. Big bell. Shout and you yell. How you broke the spell. This is where you almost have a fit. This guy's coach and I got hit. There's no mistake. This is it. Till it's over. And then it's nice and quiet. Shh, shh. But soon again, shh, shh. Starts another big riot. You blow a fuse. Sing boom, the devil cuts loose. Sing boom, so what's the use? Wow, wow, of falling in love. The sky keeps in, the devil cuts loose. You blow, 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 blow your fuse.
Elia, how to kill it, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a good track. I'm a big fan of Björk.
Well, mate,
Amazing musician. She's done a lot of really interesting work, a lot of good
been around for
collaborations. Yeah.
What I enjoyed about the Icelandic display, and I know that you hate it, which is even making me more happy, people, by the way, is they were beasts.
Yeah,
They were
are
beasts.
beasts,
They're
yeah.
like, they remind me of, who's that guy on the Superstars UFC?
You know what they remind me of?
No, tell me. No. Before you go, who's that guy from UFC? Who's that guy?
I can't stand. I don't
Brock
like UFC,
Lesnar, mate. Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar. He's
The
the
beast.
druggie, mate.
Yeah, go against Mark Hunt's a man, obviously, but he's a Kiwi, obviously. But
UFC, I don't have a lot of time for that sort of blood sport carry on.
Not at all.
Not a big fan.
I don't go out of my way to watch and sit down on Sunday afternoon with dinner.
I'm not. Something about people
Mark Hunt's fighting,
bludgeoning
I'll have a
each
go.
other, like repeatedly bludgeoning each other until they bleed and so on.
Well, as long as
I
they're
just don't
not
see the
bludgeoning me, mate.
I don't see the appeal of it myself. But I mean, some people like it. Yeah.
Well, yes, they do.
But do you know who the Icelandics remind me of? They remind me of Led Zeppelin's "The Immigrant Song." You know?
Yeah.
They come from the land of the ice and stole. Yeah, good song.
Yeah. You've got the going on, man. That's cool. Hey, I think we'll play that next week.
Yeah, we should.
Next question for you is Morocco to win the World Cup? No chance?
I reckon, no, they're not,
Okay.
they're not going to get there.
Did you watch the game against Iran the other day, which Iran won 1-0? And I would have thought that was a bit of a turn-up for the books.
Well, no, I mean, I think a few years ago it might have been, but I think the Iranians have actually improved a lot over the last 8 years,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
And they're a pretty decent side. And, I wasn't that surprised to hear that they'd won. I'll tell you, there's a game on tomorrow morning that I think could spring a surprise maybe, and that's Sweden for some reason are favourites over South Korea. But, I mean, when you look at Sweden, you're like, are they really that good? I mean, the South Koreans have got a few handy players, and they've always turned up at World Cups when they've been at them, and in the past they've been sort of one of those teams, and people are like, South Korea aren't that good, and then they'll spring a surprise, and I reckon they could definitely. I mean, the way the World Cup's gone so far, you wouldn't put it past the South Koreans.
South Koreans are good, mate. They're like the Japanese and that. They're all good.
After the Serbians won this morning with that Kolarov free kick, I checked on TAB and they're paying $125 to win the World Cup, so I put $2 on them.
Well, you've lost your $2, but I mean, I'll tell you what.
No, I'm going to win.
I'll tell you what I
They're gonna
believe,
go all
mate.
the way,
Not a
mate.
chance, mate.
Serbians are going all the way.
I believe that it's still going to be one of the top 6 to win the World Cup, one of the top 4. That's your Brazil, Germany, which is always the case. There'll be a few he and
Start
ha's.
slow, they start slow and they pull it together,
But let's look at a couple more results. You've got Portugal, they drew with Spain, which has probably been the best game of the tournament. Ronaldo, what can you say about the gentleman, mate? He's a freak, isn't he?
Well, we got lucky with David De Gea making that mistake.
Well, he didn't get lucky.
He hit that well. Yeah, he did hit that well. And, I mean, it's not like, I can't say that if Ronaldo was taking a shot at me, I would have fucking handled it. I mean, goodness gracious. I've just sworn on here.
Oh, sorry about that,
listeners.
Carry on, that's all right.
I'm lapsing into everyday speak. But, no, I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo, quality player, definitely did well.
Yep.
I think, and...
Oh, great player.
Confounded the doubters maybe who was saying, Ronaldo isn't what he was after that Champions League final, which I was one of, and I was saying, and then he stood up and he's got a hat-trick in the World Cup, which not many people can lay claim to actually over the years.
Yeah.
There's not many people who've done that.
Jeff Hurst. It's about the only one I know. Who else has scored a World Cup hat-trick?
Well, I can't even think of anyone, to be honest.
Okay, moving along. Argentina 1, Iceland... The Icelandic, mate. I found some... What do you think of that game anyway? Argentina 1, Iceland 1.
No, don't play that Iceland thing, man.
No, I'm not going to...
5 to 8. We're running out of time.
I'm not going to play, but what do you think of that?
The Iceland game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were beasts.
I don't know. I mean, they did all right. I think the Argentinians let themselves down a bit. They should have... they needed a little bit more oomph, and they didn't have it, really. And you got to... Maybe they can still do it. They've got the players, definitely. And, I mean, you can never write off Messi. He's had people write him off in the past, and then he's turned around and, won the Champions League or whatever.
He needs that. He needs a kick in the arse to get him going again, I think.
Yeah, it might be good for them. And they'll believe that they should have done better. It's just like the Brazilians today. The Brazilians will think they were hard done by, so they're never going to, be down in the dumps about it. They're going to be like, right, we're going to win these next 2 games.
Well, the expectation is that they should win every game they walk onto the field. So that's why it's not going to be.
Yeah. They're like the All Blacks who are...
talking about the All Blacks or the men in black, what happened to them the other day, mate? A bit of a wishy-washy performance.
They got handed the game by the ref again.
Sent a player off for nothing, I thought.
Well, it was... According to some people, according to the laws of the game, it was a legitimate decision, but it didn't look legitimate to me.
Tell you what, mate, if it was a Kiwi boy being sent off for that, I would have been ropeable, mate.
I bet the All Blacks fans would have been all the guys saying, "Oh, well, no, it was within the laws of the game," and it's like, he ruined the test.
Definitely.
The French were in the game again, and then the All Blacks stuttered to the finish anyway. I mean, it doesn't like
spluttered.
They didn't do that well, and the week before they had that crucial yellow card when the French were looking dangerous, and then they won that game. And so they've won the series thanks to a couple of cards, really, I thought. And when they play 15 men, then they'll have a game on their hands because they haven't really done that yet.
I agree, mate. I think it's been I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Talk about this. I still think Denmark's a dark horse, mate, for the World Cup.
Really?
Casper Schmeichel, I think. Remember I was talking to you offline, off here before, and we were talking about the the Danish team that won the European Cup with Kasper's father, Peter Schmeichel, in goal. Maybe a repeat
Oh, the Euro
performance.
champs. Yeah,
Euro
way
champs,
back.
yep.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Never.
Okay.
Never happening. Ericsson's good, but no, he's not that
So
good.
basically, you're squashing my little call there straight away.
Denmark.
Not going to go any
I
further
can't
than
see.
that, mate.
I mean, the Danish.
No, Mike, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, it could be a possibility. no, you're just squashing me already, mate.
No
so
way. Serbia are going to win it before they do.
Thanks, mate. Serbia.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to them in a
They
minute.
got a better squad.
Croatia, this is another team that could win it. And my mate,
Croatia.
Besson, Croatia.
Oh, they're decent. I do rate the
Croatia,
Croatians
good,
actually.
mate.
Modric is excellent. You know, I've got a lot of, and then they've got plenty of players all over the pitch. They're one of those teams.
Nigeria's not a bad team, buddy.
No, Nigeria are good. Yeah,
Nigeria's
So
a
it was a
good
good
team.
result to beat them 2-0, definitely.
Yep.
But yeah, you know,
Serbia beat Costa Rica. Costa
Rica were handy. They played some nice football, but
Yep.
there was a stupid VAR thing in that game, actually, where one of the Costa Rican defenders grabbed the Serbian striker by the shirt and was pulling him, and
Yeah.
then he just lashed his hand out behind him,
Yep.
and he hit the guy in the face. He didn't mean to because he
As you
couldn't
do.
even see,
Yep.
and he ended up getting a book for it. He got a yellow, and I mean, maybe it's retaliation, but it's also like he didn't mean to do it, so it was like he got a yellow.
Yeah.
Why didn't the other guy get a yellow for grabbing his shirt?
Exactly.
Yeah, the VAR. I mean, it's been weird, that whole thing. It's like
Well,
you think
it's a
that.
learning process, isn't it, mate? You
Well,
know?
no, but the VAR, you think they've brought it in to make decisions on certain things, and then for some reason they're not making decisions on the certain things that you think they would, and then they're making decisions on things that you're like,
Yeah.
well, was that even really necessary? Did they
What-
need that yellow card? No,
What I don't
probably
like,
not.
no, I agree with you. I think if it comes to the conclusion of something that has to be pointed out that wasn't seen, which is good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like a penalty.
Yeah,
No, something really big.
Exactly,
you know,
but something
like a
just
studs up
pathetic.
challenge
Yeah.
that breaks someone's ankle.
But something pathetic, which is just, carry on.
like
come
a
on,
crappy
you know?
yellow for like some guy moving his arm behind him, and it's like, yeah, come on,
Yeah,
guys,
exactly, mate.
speed it up.
But one thing I will say, I think it's going to be once it's tried and tested and they, I mean, I think the good. I think the good thing about
No,
the
I'm a
video
fan of it.
referee,
I'm
I
a
think
fan of it, yeah.
It means that idiots can't get away with being idiots.
You know, I'm a fan of it because it's going to, once and for all, it's going to stop that crap with penalties that should have been awarded, and the ref's going to be able to go back and he's going to go, okay, I got that wrong, penalty.
Yeah, because there's
And
so much money involved in football these days. You need that. Well, you do, mate. I mean, because
Yeah,
referees
definitely.
are simple human
Yeah,
beings, and
yeah.
I mean, I can absolutely slate the referee off, but I mean, come on, he's just a human
On
being.
the other hand, the money involved, even with the international game now and the coaching contracts and all that stuff, is something I think that detracts from the World Cup, because you don't get little teams coming to the World Cup anymore and having to go. You get these teams coming and they want to defend and they want to try and like get a good amount of results, so that the coach wants to keep his job. You know, he doesn't want to. You know, there's all sorts of this stuff now where you know, it would have been good to see teams have a real crack, like the Icelandic have a crack
Well,
at the
the last-
Argentinians, and they didn't. They just sort of sat back and.
Well, mate, I've
know?
got to cut you off, and I apologise to our listeners.
Running out of time.
Because we're actually about 2 or 3 minutes over. The last thing I was going to mention to you was the Switzerland, obviously very disappointed with their first game in the World Cup because they lost. They drew with a minor, and which was Brazil, obviously, and a quick 10-second report on that game, mate, before we shoot off.
I enjoyed the game. It was a cracking goal by Coutinho, and I thought the Brazilians probably should have got another goal up before the break, and they never would have had the trouble they did in the second half.
Yep.
And then once Swiss got that goal from the corner where there was that slight push, and
Thought the keeper could have come and got it myself, mate, made a presence.
we talked about it earlier, and I thought the same. And but yeah, the Brazilians just made it hard for themselves. Really, they had enough quality to win that game easily, and they've got to step up in the next two and show that they do have that quality, because everyone's been talking them up as favourites, and they didn't do anything to show that they're worthy of that tag in that game.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Mate, we're out of here. So we're going to say goodbye until next week, people at Utter Football. On my cutting, we've got Elia over there saying hello to you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Elia. Elia, just a quick one. Obviously, there's a lot of expats from the UK and New Zealand now. Quick prediction on the Tunisia-England game?
I think England will win 2-0. Harry Kane will score, and Cahill with a header.
I say England 2-1. Thank you very much, people, and we'll see you next week.
A sign held by a man with no shirt, no shoes on. He had a